Hi, it's Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review talking about the 1987 film Creepshow 2 and its new Arrow 4K edition. Well, this is one of your favorite movies. You should pick it up. If it's not, I don't know that I could recommend it. It's okay. The first one had 5 stories and it was 2 hours long, and it was a little long. This one is under 90 minutes and only has 3 stories, plus the intermission type little things in between the stories, which are really good, by the way. You've got the cinematographer returning as the director. Screenplay was by George A. Romero with stories by Stephen King. A lot of the same people worked on the same movies 5 years apart. Lois Chiles, you know her from 007 movies. Also, George Kennedy was in this. And Tom Savini returns. Music done by Les Reed and Rick Wakeman of Yes. You could tell right in the beginning, the big orchestral, the organ parts and stuff had to be Rick Wakeman. The movie is only as good. These anthology movies are only as good as the individual stories, and the stories are just okay in this one. The first one's pretty good. The second one is, and the third one are mostly action. There's really not a whole lot of story to the 3 stories. The first one is, well, I don't want to tell you about it if you haven't seen them because that would kind of give everything away. But the first one is quaint. The second one is kind of, shall we say, water-going terror. And the third one is called The Hitchhiker, and you can figure that one out. What was interesting about watching these movies is they added nudity in them for like no reason. There was a nude scene in the second story towards the end and at the beginning of the third one for like almost no, I don't know why I noticed that. I was just like, oh, don't know that I've ever seen that actress naked before. I'm not sure I really needed to now, but anyway, that was an interesting thing about it. And overall, I thought the movie wasn't bad. Like, it had a $4 million budget, half of the first one, but went on to make $14 million. So it made actually more money than the first one, or about the same. It just, and watching it last night, I found it even more quaint than Creepshow. It was 5 years later. The stuff in between the stories was really good, and how it faded into animation and how they were using animation. And I really like the way the movie ends because it's an animated ending that goes along with the story that's been going along through all of the anthology stories, all 3 of them. I thought the 4K looks arguably better than Creepshow did for Shout Factory. This is an Arrow release, comes in a hard box with a book and the 4K. You get some extras on there, some behind-the-scenes stuff from back in the day. The book is what you really want. Like, if you're on the fence about buying this, there are 2 stories that Stephen King wrote that didn't make them into the Creepshow movies. The first one was actually done eventually in the Tales from the Dark Side movie, which I'll get to eventually. The second story was just never, ever produced. So there is a comic book in this set. It is a fairly thick, perfect bound paperback book that is the comic of that story as it would have appeared in the movie. I think that was worth the price of admission right there. The whole set is about $32. You get the 4K, all the extras, and the comic book in a hard box. I think it's worth it. I mean, that alone, just for the comic book. And the movie in the best it's ever looked and the best it sounded. It had a 5.1 mix. They didn't upgrade it to Atmos. It did have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. I thought it looked good. The colors were good. The grain was handled well. There was a couple of really grainy scenes, but otherwise it looked really great for its age. The second story and the first story takes a lot of daytime shots outside, so that all looked really great. The third story is mostly in a car, and with car chasing car action through the entire story at night, it's a little bit different. But I'd say that this movie looks great, on par with the original Creepshow, maybe even better. Creepshow 2, though, just I would dock at a star because the stories aren't quite as compelling, and it just, the whole thing when it was over was like, well, I like the animated part, especially the story about Billy through the whole the in-between stuff for the show. The stories was better, I thought, than the movie itself. But all in all, I think it's a great package. The extras pull it together as you find out what they were really trying to do. They talked to Tom Savini, who was, he's kind of the through line on a lot of horror movies, and he's got a lot of knowledge to talk about. And the comic book of the story that has never been released before. I thought that was great. It's unfortunate they couldn't produce it. I could see it was probably expensive to produce, and definitely a horror story. Creepshow 2 is available now from Arrow. It gets a halfway review. If it's one of your halfway recommendation, if it's one of your favorite movies, then definitely pick this up. This is a great version, and I'm trying to complete some sets, so I had to get Creepshow 2 if I was going to get Creepshow 1. Probably won't get Creepshow 3, though. That movie was terrible. Anyway, I thought this was pretty good. It was interesting to see some of these actors in a movie like this. It was nice to see an interview with George Romero talking about this. I wish Stephen King had been brought in on some of the extras. Also, Stephen King is a terrible actor. From the couple of movies he made in the 80s, I'm very thankful he stopped acting. I love his writing. Just don't need to see him act. Creepshow 2 is an incredible package from Arrow Video. Whether or not it's your incredible package depends on how much you love the movie. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. More October Halloween horror movies as well. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and have a spectacular day.